Hello all my dear students, once again I welcome you back to my YouTube channel Modern English with Khandu Dayal. In this video we are going to learn more about the poem The Inchcape Rock by Robert Southey. Let's start with the introduction of the poet, that is Robert Southey. His lifespan is 1774 to 1843. He was born in Bristol, England. He was the son of a draper. Educated at Westminster School and Balliol College, Oxford. Now let us have a look on his childhood. Right. Now he was the son of draper. Draper means the one who sells clothes. Right. And he educated at Westminster School and Balliol College, Oxford. He was a poet laureate of England from 1813 to 1843. Some of his short poems like Scholar, The Battle of Blenheim, Bishop Hatto, The Inchcape Rock, etc. are very much popular among the school children. The Inchcape Rock is a ballad. Now ballad is a long narrative story, right? It is a dramatic, funny, romantic, tragic story. It is the story of 14th century attempt by the abbot of Aberbrithok to install a warning bell on Inchcape, a notorious sandstone reef about 11 miles, that is 18 km off the east coast of Angus, Scotland, near Dundee and Fife, occupied by the Bell Rock Lighthouse. Now this is the story which involves around the notorious sandstone reef, which is away from 18 km from the Scotland. Robert Southey was inspired by the legendary story of a pirate who removed the bell on the Inchcape Rock placed by the abbot of Aberbrithok. The poem gives us a message that those who do wrong things will meet with due punishment. Now it is very obvious and clear that one who does a wrong thing or one who do a wrong deed definitely will meet with punishment. In the same way, this story is a kind of legendary story, right? And it has a kind of moral message which is given by the poet Robert Southey. Let's start with the title of the poem, The Inchcape Rock. The Inchcape Rock, which is a name given to a rock. The first stanza: no stir in the air, no stir in the sea, the ship was as still as she could be, her sails from heaven received no motion, her keel was steady in the ocean. The first stanza talks about the weather and atmosphere on the sea, wherein there is no air, no such things at all. The ship is standing so quietly, and the sails of the ships couldn't move because there is no air at all, there is no motion at all, and the keel of the ship is standing so steadily, so silently, so calmly, right? The keel means the upper side of the ship, right, which is used to balance the ship. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell, they did not move the Inchcape bell. And the second stanza talks about the Inchcape bell, Inchcape Rock, and how the waves are floating over the Inchcape Rock. So little, so small, and so subtly they are flowing and floating over the rock, that even the waves are not able to move the Inchcape bell, and even the waves are not able to ring the Inchcape bell. Why? Because so little and so smoothly they are flowing on the Inchcape Rock that even the sound and even they are not able to make the Inchcape bell move. The abbot of Aberbrithok, the very first character of the poem, or we can call it as the protagonist of the poem, that is abbot. Abbot means the head of abbey or monks, or what we can say in very simple and lucid language, the priest, right? The abbot of Aberbrithok had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock on a buoy. In the storm it floated and swung, and over the waves its warning rung. the man, that is abbot, has done a good thing. What good thing he has done? He had placed the warning bell, that is Inchcape bell, the Inchcape rock, and the bell is placed on that rock. For what? To make the people aware, to aware the mariners and sailors from getting drowned, from meeting with an accident, right? Because what happened, many people, without understanding the rock, without getting understanding of the rock, they met with an accident and they died. And that's what the abbot didn't want. Any people, any mariners, any sailors should die. When the rock was hit by the surge's swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock and blessed the abbot of Aberbrithok. Next, what happened? When the rock used to do, or rock used to play hide and seek to the mariners with the sailors. How? Because what happens sometimes, the great rise in the level of water and the sea water happens, and the mariners, they are not able to listen the warning bell, right? But fortunately, what happens, the abbot had placed that warning bell on the sea, right, with the help of buoy, so the mariners are able to understand about the perilous rock by getting the sound of the Inchcape bell. How? See, when the rock was hit by the surge's swell. Now the word surge's swell means a sudden and great rise in the level of the sea water. The mariners heard the warning bell, and as the sea water rises, what happens? The Inchcape bell, that is the bell which is placed by the abbot, rings, right? It makes sound, and the mariners and the sailors could understand that there is something wrong going to happen, and they become aware. And what happened? They blessed the abbot. For what? For doing a good things for those mariners and those sailors. The sun in heaven was shining gay, all things were joyful on that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled around, and there was joy in their sound. The atmosphere on the sea is very nice, wherein the birds are just going here and there, they are just doing to and fro. They are just singing, they are just screaming, they are just making noise and loud noise as they are having a round around the sea. And there is a joy in their sound, and they are just making a joyful sound. They are just making a pleasurous sound with delightment, with enjoyment, right? All the birds are very much happy. So that is what the stanza talks about. The buoy of the Inchcape bell was seen, a darker speck on the ocean green. The word buoy means a floating object anchored in the sea to mark dangerous place, right? If you could see this image in the picture, that is buoy, right? And Inchcape bell was seen, a darker speck, and there is the Inchcape bell which is placed on that buoy. Sir Ralph the rover walked his deck, and fixed his eye on the darker speck. Now the second character of the poem, right, we can call it as the antagonist of the poem, Sir Ralph the rover. Sir Ralph the rover is a sea pirate, right? And he could fix his eye on the darker speck, that is the Inchcape bell, because he was the jealous of that abbot, because the abbot is being blessed by many people, many mariners and many sailors, and that Sir Ralph the rover was not getting any sort of blessed from any people, because he was not a good man, he was an evil character man. He felt the cheering power of spring, it made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's mirth was wickedness. Now this stanza talks about the mood of the rover. So he was so happy, delighted, joyful, as there is a spring season, and which made him whistle, which made him sing a song. And he is so happy, delighted, and overjoyed, contented, and as he's singing a song, he's whistling out of joy. His heart is filled with joy. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's mirth was wickedness. And his heart was full of happiness, joyness, and contentment, delighted. But that mirth, that happiness was not out of good, but that was out of wickedness, what we can call evil pleasure, right? By hurting others, by putting others in problems, by giving troubles to others, and that whatever happiness and joy get to one, that is known as the evil pleasure. His eye was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, my men, put out the boat and draw me to the Inchcape Rock, and I will plague the abbot of Aberbrothock. Now this stanza talks about the evil deed that is he is going to do ahead, and he is just warning his people, he is just warning his crewmates that let us move towards the Inchcape bell, that I want to cut the bell. And how will he cut? By troubling the abbot. Now how he will trouble the abbot? Now he will plague the abbot of Aberbrothock. Now the word plague means causing pain or trouble, and definitely if the rower is going to cut the bell, definitely it will hurt, it will cause pain, it will definitely trouble the abbot, right? Because the abbot has done, or abbot has placed that bell out of making the people aware, out of making the people stop to getting drowned into the seawater. The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape Rock they go. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat, and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. This stanza talks about the way they are having to the Inchcape Rock. They are just going with the help of boat to the Inchcape Rock, and as they go near the Inchcape Rock, Inchcape bell, what happens? Sir Ralph bent down to the Inchcape Rock and he cut the bell, which is very wrong, right? And down sunk the bell with a gurgling sound, the bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, the next who comes to the rock won't bless the abbot of Aberbrothock. And as the Sir Ralph the rower cut the bell started sinking into the water by making a gurgling sound and making the bubbles on the sea level water. And what did he say again? He says, whoever comes next will not bless the abbot, right? In fact, they will curse him, that as there would be no bell to ring, and that they will not be able to get any sound, any ring to save them from getting drowned into the water. Sir Ralph the rower sailed away, he scoured the seas for many a day, and now grown rich with a plundered store, he steers his course for Scotland's shore. This stanza talks about his travel. Now he has traveled all across the world, all across the country, freely, energetically, for ships to rob, and he has just traveled all across the world to the sea just to rob the ship, and now he has become rich. Now how did he become rich? With the help of plundered store. Now plundered store means the big amount of looted wealth, and that's how he became so rich in the country, and now he is going towards Scotland's shore. So thick a haze overspreads the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind has blown a gale all day, at evening it hath died away. And there is a so misty atmosphere, so foggy atmosphere, which is overspread all over the sky, and the rower and his crewmates, they are not able to see the sun, and they are not able to see any sort of light again. What happens? The wind is blowing so vastly and so strongly, as there is going to be an evening so soon, and the atmosphere on the sea is getting darker, and they are not able to see what is going to happen to them, as the wind is very strong and it is blowing so strongly. And what happened next? It is going to be a darker so soon. On the deck the rower takes his stand, so dark it is they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, it will be a lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon. And as the evening came, what happens? The rower takes his stand. Now he has taken his stand on the deck, and there is a so darkness, and he is not able to see any sort of land, any kind of land. And he says there is going to be a lighter soon, means there is going to be a darkness soon, and there is going to be a dawn as well, right, with the help of moon. But all the crewmates and Sir Ralph the Rover, they are not able to see anything at all, any sign at all, as there is a lighter and there is the evening came. "Can't hear," said one, the breakers rover, "for methinks we should be near to the seashore. Now where we are I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell." Now this stanza talks about the mood and the circumstance of all the crewmates on the ship. Now how is the atmosphere on the ship? That the one of the crewmates says that I can't hear anything, I couldn't see anything, where the rower says, "I think we should be near to the shore," and he just willing that I thought that we are near to the shore, but it is not like this. And one of the crewmates says, "But I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell, and it is my wish that I could have listened the bell, but there is no Inchcape bell at all, as we have cut the bell, Inchcape bell, and they are not able to see any Inchcape bell." "They hear no sound, the swell is so strong, though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. O Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock." And this tonga talks about their situation, how they are facing the situation on the sea, as they are not able to listen any sound, as they are not able to listen any sort of ring and all that, because the swell is so strong. Swell means a long series of ocean waves, right? They are blowing so strongly that all the crewmates along with rower are not able to listen any sort of sound. And wind has fallen, and along with the wind they are just moving slowly and smoothly with the help of ship. But what happened next? Unfortunately, their vessel, their ship, strikes with a shivering shock. Oh Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock. And unfortunately they met with an accident, right? Their ship smashes, their ship get met with an accident with the Inchcape Rock, and they started sinking into the sea. Sir Ralph the Rover tore his hair, and he cursed himself in his despair. The waves rush in every side, the ship is sinking beneath the tide. And as soon as he could see that was the Inchcape Rock, he started pulling his hair and he started cursing himself in despair. Now that word despair means the loss of hope or desperations, right? Or we can say that he became so desperate and he became so unhappy that he met with an accident along with his crewmate, and the waves are blowing so strongly, so forcefully, that their ship started sinking into the water, into the sea. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rower hear, and that was the sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. At the end, what happens? Now, even in his dying fear, he could understand, he could listen a dreadful sound, but that was not the sound of Inchcape bell, but it was as if a sound of Inchcape bell, but it was not the Inchcape bell. It was the devil. It was the one who was below under the water and was ringing his knell. Knell means the sound of a bell rung solemnly after the death or a funeral announcement of a death. And that was the knell which was ringing on the death of the evil character, what we can call Sir Ralph the Rover, as he met with an accident and he died and he lost his life because he has done a wrong thing in his life by cutting the bell on Inchcape Rock. Because of that deed, many sailors and many mariners has lost their lives. If he would not have cut the bell, definitely all mariners and sailors who were going to come, they will have saved their life. So at the end, we just come out with the message that whatever we do in our life, which we get back, means it is a kind of poem that teaches us that whatever we do in our life will definitely come back to us. If we do good things, definitely good things will come to us. If we do bad things, definitely the bad things will come to us. In the same way, Sir Ralph the Rover, out of jealousy, what he did, he cut the bell, and at the end, with the same rock, with the same thing, he met with an accident and he died in the sea. That is what the message of the poem is all about.